Hello, our group is here to present about what is hire purchase and its practical applications. So before we start looking at what is hire purchase, let us look at an overview of what we will be learning. So we will learn about what does the hire purchase system mean and how it works and the practical applications of hire purchase system in businesses and among individuals. We will understand it with the practical applications of hire purchase with a few case studies, and we will look at the recent developments made in the hire purchase system and conclude the conclusion. So what is the hire purchase system? The hire purchase system is a financing agreement where a buyer pays for an asset in installments while using it. Ownership remains with the seller or lender until the final payment is made, after which the buyer gains full ownership. If payments are missed, the asset can be repossessed. So hire purchase system is nothing but a buyer buys an asset from the seller or the lender and uses the asset and pays the money in installments, and these installments include a rate of interest charged by the lender. And the ownership of the asset is transferred to the buyer only after the final installment is paid, and these installments can be paid either yearly, monthly, and if the buyer fails to pay the installment money, the lender can repossess the asset. So how does the hire purchase system work? We can understand it by putting it into 4 simple steps. Step 1, choosing the product. So the step 1 involves choosing an asset which the buyer wants to buy. Step 2, making the down payment. So while in the hire purchase system, the buyer has to make a down payment to finalize the agreement. Step 3, pay the installments. So the buyer has to pay the installments monthly, yearly or half yearly to the lender, and these installments include the rate of interest which is charged by the lender, and the buyer uses this asset while paying the installments. And the final step is to get the ownership. The buyer pays the final amount, final installment, and gets the ownership from the lender to him. Now let's look at an example of how the hire purchase system works among individuals. So let's assume there is a person called Rahul and he wants to buy a scooter but doesn't have the full amount. So the first step is Rahul chooses the scooter which he wants, which is worth rupees 60 rupees but doesn't have the full amount. So he decides to make the payment in hire purchase system. And step 2 is to make the down payment. The dealer asks for 15,000. The dealer or the lender asks for 15,000 as the down payment, and Rahul pays it to make the agreement final. And step 3, pay the installments. And the remaining 45,000 is divided into 12 monthly payments. So Rahul has to pay these installments per month for a year, and he has to pay rupees 3,750, which includes a rate of interest. And the final step is to pay the final payment and get the ownership to him. Let's look at another example of how hire purchase system works in businesses. So let's assume that there is a company which works in textile industry, and it wants to buy a machinery, but it doesn't have the full amount, so it decides to make the payment in hire purchase system. So the machine is worth 10 lakhs. So the company pays 2 lakhs to the buyer as a down payment to finalize the agreement. And step 3, it makes the payments in 24 monthly payments, which includes interest. And step 4 is to pay the final installment and get the ownership transferred to him. So now let us look into the practical applications of hire purchase. Hire purchase is used in many businesses for acquiring essential assets without paying the full amount. The purchaser can use the asset he purchased on hire purchase while making the installment. Both individuals and businesses use the hire purchase system. So hire purchase is used in various fields of business. Even individuals use it and businesses use it. And this hire purchase system is very efficient because the purchaser can use the asset while making the payment.
I'm Matthew. Now we are going to see about hire purchase and its real life case study examples. First, let us see what is hire purchase. Hire purchase is a type of contract where a buyer hires an asset from a seller, making payments over time and eventually gains ownership once all payments are completed. In detail, the buyer makes an initial payment. The buyer then makes regular installment payments to the seller. The seller retains ownership of the asset until all payments are made. Once all payments are completed, the buyer becomes the owner of the asset. Let us see some features of hire purchase. Immediate use and delayed ownership, fixed monthly payments, interest costs, legal protection, and risk of repossession. Now let us see case studies in detail. First case study is about use of hire purchase system in the automobile industry. The automobile industry widely uses hire purchase to help individuals and businesses buy vehicles without paying the full amount. The system makes vehicle ownership more accessible while allowing manufacturers and dealers to increase sales. Let us take Tata Motors Finance. Tata Motors, a leading automobile manufacturer in India, operates Tata Motor Finance. It is in-house financing arm to facilitate vehicle purchase through hire purchase and other financing schemes. Here, a small business owner seeks to expand his logistic operation by adding a commercial vehicle but lacks the full capital for an outright purchase. First, he selects the vehicle cost around 15 lakh. Then he applied a application, approaches TMF and submits the necessary documents for credit evaluation. Tata Motor Finance approves the loan, requiring a down payment of 3 lakh with 20% of the cost of good and financing the remaining 12 lakh at an interest rate of 10% annum over a 5-year tenure. Then a hire purchase agreement is executed and the vehicle is delivered to the business owner upon a payment of the down payment. The repayment of the business owner pays equated monthly installments, which is EMIs, of approximately 25,500 over 60 months. After completing all payments, the ownership of the vehicle is transferred to the business owner. The another case study is about use of hire purchase system to provide agricultural equipments. Let us take Mahindra Tractors hire purchase for farmers. Now, Mahindra Tractors, one of India's leading tractor manufacturers, recognize that small and marginal farmers often struggle with the high upfront cost of purchasing tractors. To help them, Mahindra partnered with banks and non-banking financial companies to offer hire purchase financing. In the hire purchase process, a farmer selects a Mahindra tractor and applies for financing through Mahindra's financial partners. Next, he pays a down payment as a 20% of the tractor's cost as an initial payment. Installment payments. The farmer makes yearly payments over 5 to 7 years based on their harvest income. After the final payment, the tractor becomes the farmer's property. Here is another scenario where a boy named John, a young professional, wants to buy a motorcycle for commuting to work. However, he doesn't have enough savings to pay for the motorcycle in full. Instead, he opts for a hire purchase agreement with a local motorcycle dealer. Now see step-by-step breakdown of the hire purchase process. Choosing the motorcycle. 1. John chose the cycle, visits a dealership and selects a motorcycle priced around $3,000. Then he made an agreement with the dealer. Since John cannot afford the full payment upfront, he agrees to hire a purchase plan with the following terms. As a deposit and down payment, he pays $500. As a loan amount, $24,000 he have to pay. Monthly installments rupees $250 per month. Repayment period 12 months. Interest rate 10% per annum. Total amount payable around $3,300 including interest. Under a hire purchase system, John does not own motorcycle immediately. He is allowed to use it, but the ownership remains with the dealer or the financing company until he completes all payments. If the person fails to pay, the dealer can repossess the goods. Every month, John pays $250 towards the hire purchase agreement. He ensures timely payments to avoid penalties. After making the final payment at the end of 12 months, the dealer officially transfers the ownership of motorcycle to John. Now he is the legal owner of the vehicle. The conclusion is the hire purchase system provides an effective way for individuals to acquire expensive assets without paying the full amount upfront. This financing method is beneficial for individuals who need essential assets but lack immediate funds. However, it also involves additional interest costs and the risk of repossession in case of non-payment. Therefore, buyers must carefully assess their financial stability before committing to a hire purchase agreement. In a conclusion, hire purchase is a convenient but costly financing option, but suited for those who can consistently manage their repayments. Thank you.
Let's look at another case study. Maruti Suzuki's hire purchase scheme for taxi drivers. Maruti Suzuki is the largest car manufacturer in India. Noticed that many aspiring taxi drivers and small business owners face difficulties in purchasing vehicles due to high upfront costs in India. So, to address this, the company partnered with banks and NBFCs to offer hire purchase financing for commercial vehicles like the Maruti Suzuki Desire Tour and Wagner for Indian peoples. Let's look into the hire purchase process. It has four processes. Method 1, application. A taxi driver selects a Maruti Suzuki Desire Tour and applies for financing through Maruti Suzuki's financial partners. Second method, down payment. The driver pays an initial amount, for example 15% of the car's price. Third method is now installment payments. The driver makes monthly payments over 4 to 5 years using earnings from taxi services. The last method, ownership transfer. After the final payment, the car becomes the driver's property. Next, we see developments in the hire purchase system. In India, there are two systems, digital platforms, regulations. These are the main systems in hire purchase in India. First method, digital platforms. Customers can apply for hire purchase agreements through websites or mobile apps. They can upload necessary documents, check eligibility, and get instant approval without visiting a branch. Digital payments and automated EMI reductions ensure timely payments, reducing the risk of defaults for peoples. The second method is regulations. Regulations have rules been introduced to stop companies from charging very high interest rates on hire purchase agreements. Now, government agencies such as RBI set limits on how much interest lenders can charge. In general, the first hire purchase company is believed to the Commercial Credit Corporation, successor to Auto Supply Company. It was based in Madras. Motor and General Finance and Installment Supply Company were set up in North India. These companies were set up in the 1920s and 1930s. Now let's see concept of hire purchase. Hire purchase is an agreement where the buyer makes a down payment and pays the balance plus interest in installments. These types of agreements are generally used for very expensive goods. Hire purchase agreements are not seen as an extension of credit. Now let's see the objectives of hire purchase. Ownership of the goods does not technically pass to the buyer until all payments have been made under a hire purchase arrangement. With a hire purchase plan, a company can maximize working capital, improve its financial presentation to investors, and the option of flexible payment terms. Let's see the conclusion of this presentation. Hire purchase has become a crucial financial tool helping individuals and business acquire essential assets without the burden of paying the full cost upfront. So, the over the years, advancements such as digital platforms and flexible repayment options have made the process the more convenient and accessible. At the same time, new regulations have been introduced to ensure fair interest rates, protect consumer rights, and make transactions more transparent in hire purchase. Thank you.